Hello and welcome to Eye on Oakland. I'm Chuck Moss, your host. We've got a great show today. We're talking with Michael Shostak, Bloomfield Township treasurer, who is no stranger to the show, no stranger to all of us. But recently, you did something that I think is fascinating, and I've always kind of been interested in it. You were a participant or class in the John F. Kennedy School of Government at the famous Harvard University. Now, I went to the Harvard of East Lansing, but tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah. Well, thanks for having me, Chuck. I was selected by SEMCOG, which is the Southeast Michigan Council of Governments, to attend this program. I got accepted to Harvard, the Kennedy School of Government. It's a program for senior executives in state and local government. There were about 70 of us in my cohort. About half were elected officials and half were appointed officials, ranging from state reps, state senators, county commissioners, city council members, township board members, to city managers. We even had a judge. We had some county officials, state health department, some state executive branch members that came. So it was a really diverse group in age, diverse in all ways you could be diverse. It was very diverse, which brought some unique viewpoints. And it was a program where we delved into problem solving and public policy from a state and local perspective, and understanding how policy is developed, different areas within policy. We also had classes in negotiation. We had classes in artificial intelligence and what's coming there. Public speaking classes, writing classes. It was pretty intense. It was a pretty intense program.
Well, you got your bachelor's at Wharton and your master's at Michigan, so Harvard is really not that big a stretch for you. Question is, so what was it? Well, wait a minute, I got to go back here. The theory of all this stuff, how does that relate to your long experience with the reality? For instance, I said, well, here's the theory of policy. I do this every day. Mm-hmm. How do they relate what would amount to me to be rather academic to day-to-day reality?
So it's a great question. Harvard, as you know, is famous for using the case method of teaching. So basically, they have written cases about specific topics or specific actions that have happened. They could be fictional, they could be real. And so, we studied a case in particular about two communities outside of Boston that are really not all that different from Bloomfield Township and Birmingham.
What are they?
Hamilton and Wenham.
Oh, okay.
And they are, small communities, roughly our size, again, between Bloomfield and Birmingham. And they had an issue about 15 years ago where there was a push to merge their police departments because they each had their own separate police department.
Oh, I remember that.
And as we know that there was talk of that here,
yes.
Very briefly, talk of that here. But so we analyzed the case and, talked about all of the issues that goes into it and why one community was more in favor and the other community was less in favor. And so it was a, really interesting case, and and then they also teach you these frameworks for how you think about policy, and the framework of what, again, some academic terms, but an academic term of question zero. Well, what is question zero? Question zero is, what is the root question that we're trying to solve here, and and is the policy that you're developing answering that question? And so the question in that case was not so much should the police departments merge, it was they're under intense financial pressure, as all local governments around the country are, and around the world, because the benefit of this program is that there were people there from Australia, Ireland, Brazil. I mean, and these are city leaders from around the world that could bring their insight as well. And talking to my colleagues or classmates from Brazil and Ireland, even Australia, like they are facing the same issues: a shortage of talent, a shortage of money. It's the same issues globally for local government, and so it was really interesting to learn with them and to approach these questions of public policy, and also there's some leadership training and development, and how you approach your job.
Well, the idea of commonalities between a civic official, say in Brazil, Ireland, I wouldn't think would be that much different, but maybe so. I'm Irish, so especially if you're in Boston, I would think they'd be the same. Well, what are some of the?
Well, I did get to behind the scenes tour of Fenway Park.
Well, there you go. That would be good. I'd be looking for the Isabel Gardner Museum, but that'd be not bad. So, you got selected. What did you get selected for? I mean, I'm sure there were a lot of people that applied for this scholarship from SEMCOG. Why you?
That's a fair question. So,
not a good one, but a fair one.
It's a fair one. It's a fair one. The process is twofold. First, you apply to Harvard, and if you get accepted to the program, then you mark down who your sponsor is. In my case, it was SEMCOG. And then SEMCOG gets the applications, and they have an interview panel that consists of township supervisors, mayors, SEMCOG officials and professionals, county commissioners, that interviewed all of the candidates from this area. I think there were 7 or 8 people that applied. They selected 2. I was one of them. And I think the criteria that they used were people that would get the most out of the program and be able to bring back the learnings to our community, and not just, in my case, Bloomfield Township, but also our region. And so, I'm going to be Bloomfield Township's delegate to SEMCOG going forward, and so I will be at the SEMCOG meetings and participating in all of the regional activity that SEMCOG does. The other person who was selected is the mayor of Grosse Pointe. And so she went to the program as well. And aside from her, there was a state rep from Ann Arbor who was in the program.
Oh, who was that?
You're putting me on the spot.
Oh, I'm sorry. I used to know the names. I don't anymore. That's okay. Don't worry about that. So
Jason Morgan.
Oh, okay. Now. What was it like? So you get there. Did you stay on campus? Did you, because now let's face it, Harvard is a very prestigious and frankly upper class institution. It is probably number one, I would say. So I'm sorry for
they certainly think so.
I'm sorry for all you Michigan people out there, but there's
we didn't stay in the dorms, if that's what you're asking.
I was going to say that.
No, we stayed at the DoubleTree, which is right on campus.
Oh,
and I was able to walk to the Kennedy School every day, or they offered a shuttle bus. The days were intense. We started at 7:30 in the morning with study groups. Each of us were assigned into a study group of about 5 people. Mm-hmm. There were anywhere from 30 to 50, maybe more pages of reading every night of the cases and articles and chapters from books and things like that we had to read to prepare for class. Then we would meet in our study groups and talk about that material. Class would start at 9. We'd have 6 hours of class, a couple of breaks, an hour for lunch. Sometimes it would be a working lunch. We'd have a speaker that would come in. And then after class ended at about 5:30, sometimes there would be an evening program or a dinner program. Other times we were free to eat dinner with classmates just informally and walk around campus, walk around Boston, and then, it'd be back at the hotel reading for the next day.
It's like, it would remind me of law school.
Exactly. I mean, I felt like I was back in school. And although, in grad school, I don't remember working that hard. But
I'm sure if it would be compared to, say, law school, you wouldn't drink as much either.
yeah. So it was there wasn't a lot of drinking, but this I would say that the cohort ranged in age from early 30s to late 60s. So it was a pretty wide range in terms of age group, and there was one other treasurer there, the treasurer of the city of Boston. And so she and I connected really quickly, and even though they have a few extra zeros in their checkbook than we do here in Bloomfield, but our jobs are very similar, and we were able to bond over that.
They have certain traditions that we don't have either, which
Right.
is just as well.
Right.
I told you I'm Irish. Now, the class, I'm still fascinated by the fact that you would be talking to people from other countries and all. Who would be the most, the political system, social system, the most different from here? I mean, obviously the Anglosphere is the Anglosphere.
Yeah.
Brazil?
Brazil is probably the biggest difference. So the person from Brazil was a mayor of a small city in northern Brazil, and he was planning to run for the state senate, which they have. Brazil's divided into states just like we are, and so he would be in the state legislature, not the federal legislature. So that was his next step up that he was looking to do. But they have a much more volatile political system than we do. Ours is pretty volatile. But
But there's Latin America definitely has a certain volatility that we don't.
But he was David. He was the consummate politician. Every morning, when we meet at study groups at 7:30, we'd have breakfast. There was a little cafe in the Kennedy building that serves breakfast. And he'd walk around to every table, to every study group, put his hand on your shoulder. How are you? Good morning. We called him the group's mayor because he was the constant.
Did he go around with coffee urns and serve coffee to everybody?
No.
Bill Schuette.
No, it didn't do that.
That's good.
But he was a great guy.
Good. And so the only other person from Michigan, of course, was the person from Ann Arbor. And state rep, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Well, we have. I hate to actually, break into the show like this because we've got a lot of. I'd like to keep on with this after the break. So, what do you think you took back that was the most valuable?
The policy development was really interesting. I've never had any formal training in policy development, so it was really interesting to have an academic approach. But I think that what really stuck with me was, so we did one day on an island in Boston Harbor, and it was like a leadership training, problem-solving, teamwork, formation kind of day. And we had to do physical challenges and mental challenges. And one of the challenges was using a harness system to climb up a tall ladder. And you had a team that was holding you, your belay team. And to me, that was really, I didn't realize that I had a fear of heights until I started doing that. And so
that would be a thing to know. And unfortunately, we're going to have to take a break.
Yeah.
I want to come right back to this
Sure.
particular point in the conversation. We're talking with Michael Shostak, Bloomfield Township Treasurer. We're talking about a stint actually at the John F. Kennedy School of Government in Harvard and what he's learned to take back to here. I'm Chuck Moss. Don't go away. We'll be right back here on Eye on Oakland.
Bloomfield Township Senior Services promotes wellness and strengthens the community through social connections, fitness classes, aquatics, day trips, and more. Our staff is here to serve you, offering lifelong learning and interactive opportunities for residents age 50 and above. Invest in your vitality with us. Follow us to learn more and stay up to date. We look forward to meeting you.
Welcome back to Eye on Oakland. I'm Chuck Moss, your host. We're talking with Michael Shostak, Bloomfield Township Supervisor. But for the moment, we're talking about his recent stint as learning at the John F. Kennedy School of Government and Harvard University. And so I guess you don't come away thinking down with Yale or anything like that. But we were talking about, and I'd like to continue with this, what were the most valuable things that you take away to bring back here?
Yeah. So I think that the policy development was definitely interesting. But coming back to what I was saying about this physical challenge of climbing this tall ladder where the rungs were really far apart, and you're on this harness, and I'm up 30 feet in the air, and just knowing that you've got a team behind you and that you have to trust them, that if you fall, they're going to hold the rope, and you're not going to fall, plummet to the ground.
That's different from all the various teams I've worked with in politics. Most of them would be shaking the ladder as well as letting go of the rope. Exactly.
So it was a good skill building, team building type of environment, and to put together, to make sure that you have a good team surrounding you, and to trust in them. Otherwise, the other thing that was really interesting was we had to do a final project. So there were no grades here. But we did have to do a final project. And the projects were real life issues facing our classmates. So everyone could submit an issue that they're facing back at work and that they need help with. And the class voted on which ones to work on. And so we broke into 5 teams. And the team that I worked on was with the city manager of Upper Arlington, Ohio, suburb of Columbus.
Yep.
Very similar to, again, Bloomfield Township in terms of the type of community and its proximity to a larger city, and a very educated community. And they had a commercial development that just went bad. And a developer bought a large piece of land at one of their major intersections, messed up his funding or whatever the cause was, and his development just stopped.
Not that there's anything like that's ever happened in Bloomfield Township, huh?
Exactly.
Not talking about up Telegraph Road at Square Lake.
Right. So I thought
Bloomfield Park.
Yes, I felt a kinship with that program or that project. You got to choose which project you wanted to be on.
Except the township leadership was dragged along with that one. You guys weren't pushing it. I remember that.
So the question was, how does the city address this failed development? What do they do? How do they approach it? How do they get it developed, redeveloped, what have you? And so it was a very interesting project, and one of the things that most interested me about it was their willingness to use tax incentives to attract development, the right kind of development that they wanted. And the other thing that was interesting that I learned that in Ohio, local governments are funded mostly by an income tax.
Really?
Yes, not a property tax.
Not property tax.
Schools are funded by property taxes in Ohio, but local governments are funded by income tax, by people who live there and work there. And so you just know if you're in Ohio, you're paying state and local income tax. And so they needed, they wanted a multi-use development that had a combination of residential and office, because they wanted that tax base, and then retail first floor. And so how do they attract that? How do they get the right developer in there? And we addressed the use of tax incentives through like TIF, tax increment financing.
Sure.
To be able to attract the right kind of development. So it was a really interesting project, and I was able to bring the experience that we had here with Bloomfield Park, and also be able to draw some lessons from that I think will help me in serving on the board here in Bloomfield, dealing with future development, because inevitably something like that could happen again.
Oh, absolutely. I know that there's no reason why the economy goes up, the economy goes down.
Right.
So of course it will happen. Was there any? You see, I find the interesting juxtaposition of the academic along with the very practical. I mean, guys like you, we've had to get elected. You got to go out and knock on doors and stuff.
Right.
Professors are known for being ivory tower. How was the God? I hate to use the word interface. It's 40 years ago slang in it, but interface between that academic and the very practical political.
So it's a great question. There were a couple of what you would consider, ivory tower academics who their career has just been in either at Harvard or other universities just teaching. But there were also several professors who served in various presidential administrations. So we had one professor who was in the Obama administration and oversaw the recovery, the response and recovery to the BP oil spill down in the Gulf. And she was an undersecretary in the Homeland Security Department. And now she's a professor and she teaches disaster recovery, disaster preparedness. And so we had two, long sessions. We had a half a day on disaster preparedness and disaster recovery. And she was able to draw on her experience of dealing with the BP oil spill, and how that worked. And then another professor that we had was himself a former state senator in Massachusetts, had worked in various mayoral administrations in Boston. So a seasoned politico.
A politico.
Yeah. And
so someone who's had to face the voters.
Right. Exactly. And so he was able to bring that experience and challenge us about why we ran for office and would we consider the people who didn't run for office. So half the group that was not elected, he challenged them, would you ever consider running for office? And you do what you do, but would you do it in an elected capacity or why not? And so it was a very interesting dialogue that he got going between the electeds and the non-electeds as to who's got it better, who's got it worse, why one, why not, why the other, et cetera. So it was really interesting. I mean, I just found every day just really interesting and dynamic. The interplay among the various groups, and then some days we'd be talking about state versus local issues, and so it was very interesting.
Was the balance between not only obviously Dems, Republicans, conservatives versus the more liberal? Was it that, or was it?
It was not heavily, but it was weighted towards the liberal side, the Democrats. Most of the electeds were Democrats. There were a few elected Republicans, but it wasn't. Nobody judged you for which party you were on or what your particular position was on it. We didn't get into those kinds of discussions. It was, why do you serve? What are you looking to do? What are your challenges? And everyone helped everybody. And it was a really great ecosystem that they built there.
And you're now back here as basically a better public servant and more valuable asset to the township.
Yeah, I think so. And the best part about it is that because it was sponsored through SEMCOG, actually through a contribution from the Taubman Foundation or Foundation.
Yeah, it's a Taubman funded.
The Taubman funded. The taxpayers of Bloomfield Township did not pay for this program.
That's a good thing.
Yeah.
All right. Well, congratulations. I noticed you have your here. So well done. I would have bought a Harvard T-shirt, but
I did buy a Harvard T-shirt, and I bought them for my kids.
Excellent. All right. Well, I'm going to switch gears.
Okay.
I mean, this is good, but I'd like to get back to back to Bloomfield Township.
Yep.
What's going on in the township?
Okay. Well, I want to highlight that we've got our family open house coming up in September. And I encourage all of our residents, and it can be Birmingham residents as well, but all of the Bloomfield residents to come out to the open house and check it out. We got all the trucks out, we got the police cars, we got different activities, some food trucks. So it'll be really really fun day. And then the other thing that we have going on now is we've just brought in a planning firm to address the future of the township campus. And as you know, the Township Hall building, which includes the police headquarters, was built in 1938. And it's been added onto a couple of times, but it's really long past its service life. Our police needs more space. Our dispatch needs more space. Technology has changed. And so, the township offices have changed. So we're looking for an idea to how do we approach our whole campus? And that campus includes the courthouse, that campus includes the senior center, fire station, central fire station over on Exeter. How do we incorporate all of that, the DPW? And how do we rethink that and potentially come up with a campus that includes some public amenity, maybe a park space or something like that? So how can we approach that and think about it? And, what are some lessons learned and best practices from other communities that have done this? And so we've brought in the Smith Group, which is, a national architecture and planning firm. And they're going to come in and work with us to reimagine, I call it reimagining Township Campus, and come up with just great ideas as to what we could do. And, in terms of new buildings, we're going to need new buildings. We're going to need a new police. The courthouse is aging. So all of our infrastructure, our building infrastructure is aging or aged out in the case of Town Hall. And so we really, we really want to be, deliberate about how we approach this. And it starts with a campus design.
Well, I know that the trustees' meeting room has just been repainted, and that's enough. What happened to that great big map of the township, that old one? I love it. If you guys are, I was going to say, if you don't want it anymore, I'll make you an offer.
Yeah, no, we have it. We're trying to find a place for that, but we absolutely have that. It's a great map.
I can think of a nice place in my living room, but there you go.
Well,
oh well.
But,
yeah. So it seems like when things are quiet in the township, they're in an uproar in Birmingham, other way around. They're not in an uproar in Birmingham, they're not in an uproar here.
Right.
Things seem to be just kind of going along.
Yeah.
I'm going to say fiscally, have you finally recovered from the deficit of the Great Recession?
Yes.
Drove down, of course, it didn't matter if all the values went down and went right back up. You can only come back, 5% of the rate of inflation. Finally recovering?
Yes. So tax revenue finally went back to 2007 levels. I think it was in 2019.
2019.
So
okay.
It took 12 years to get back.
Bob Dado, you said it wouldn't be until 2024. So, anyway.
So, and we've seen, an increase since then. So that's been good. We just sold our second series of bonds this year. We've had two special assessment districts, one that we've sold in February and one that we just sold a few weeks ago for special assessment bonds. We got our AAA rating reaffirmed by S&P.
That's always nice.
So it's always nice to get our AAA credit rating reaffirmed. So our borrowing costs are at the lowest possible level. We had 13 bids on our bonds, which is the most that our advisor has seen perhaps ever. And so, that's going well, and we're just winding down the audit process, and we'll bring that to the board probably in late September. And it's things are going well.
Things are good. Glad to have it. Things are good in the township. Coming back with a whole new skill set. Mm-hmm. Michael Shostak, Bloomfield Township Treasurer. It sounds like good news. It's great. It's great to hear.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you very much.
Thank you for having me.
Yes, and thank you all for joining us. I'm Chuck Moss, and we'll see you around on Eye on Oakland.